The rain had been relentless that evening, hammering against the cracked asphalt and turning the quiet streets into slick, reflective mirrors. In the dim glow of streetlights, a lone car sat stranded on the roadside, its hood slightly ajar, steam curling into the cold air. A young woman stood beside it, drenched, shivering, and clearly frustrated. Across the street, a man in worn clothes and tired eyes spotted her. His name was Armin, a single father whose life had been a relentless cycle of struggle and perseverance. His heart instinctively pulled him toward her, not knowing that this small act would change everything. If you believe in the power of kindness and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Ripple of Kindness, because stories like this remind us that even small deeds ripple far beyond our sight. Armin's life had not been easy. After losing his wife 3 years ago, he had been left to raise his 10-year-old daughter, Sarah, alone. Every day was a balancing act between his menial job at the local warehouse and making sure Sarah never felt the emptiness left by her mother. Money was tight, nights were long, and exhaustion was a constant companion. Yet, despite the hardships, Armin carried a quiet dignity, a determination to do what was right, even when the world seemed unyielding. On that stormy night, he ran toward the stranded woman without hesitation. Her car had broken down in the middle of nowhere, and she looked as though the world itself had turned against her. He could see the fear in her eyes, the helplessness that mirrored so many nights he had spent wondering how to put food on the table. Without a word, he opened the trunk of his old, dented pickup truck and fetched a set of jumper cables, his hand steady even as the rain soaked through his threadbare jacket. As he worked, he offered a reassuring smile, speaking in the soft, comforting tones he reserved only for those who needed it most. For the woman, named Lena, Armin's presence was unexpected and grounding. She had been so consumed by frustration and anxiety over her car and the looming deadlines of her work that she hadn't noticed a single soul willing to help. Watching this man, who clearly had so little to spare, take the time to aid a stranger in distress, stirred something deep within her. By the time the car roared back to life, the rain had started to ease, leaving a quiet, almost sacred stillness around them. Neither spoke much, yet in that moment, an unspoken understanding bridged the gap between two lives that seemed, until then, worlds apart. Life, as it often does, returned to its routine the next day. Armin went back to work, scraping together enough for Sarah's school fees and groceries. He didn't dwell on the encounter, helping someone in need was simply a part of who he was. But fate, it seemed, had its own plans. Weeks later, Armin found himself in a courtroom, seated nervously in the defendant's chair. A legal dispute over his late wife's small inheritance had spiraled out of control, and now, the verdict that would determine his family's future rested in the hands of a stern, poised judge. When the court doors opened, Armin froze. The woman who entered and took her seat on the bench was none other than Lena, the very same woman whose car had broken down that rainy night. At first, disbelief and anxiety gripped him. How could this happen? Could she remember him? Would she hold any resentment or think him undeserving? Yet, as the proceedings began, something remarkable unfolded. Lena's eyes softened in recognition the moment she saw him. The stern facade of her judicial role melted slightly, replaced by a spark of warmth, almost like a secret acknowledgement of the night they had shared. Armin, unsure of whether to speak or stay silent, simply bowed his head, humbled by the realization that kindness had come full circle in the most extraordinary way. The trial was intense, with lawyers presenting their arguments, documents piling high on polished wooden tables, and the air thick with tension. Armin felt the weight of every choice he had ever made pressing down on him. Every struggle, every sleepless night, every sacrifice for Sarah seemed insignificant compared to the verdict that loomed. Yet, despite the fear, he held on to a quiet faith in the principle that doing good, even when unnoticed, was never wasted. Lena, meanwhile, approached her role with her usual precision and fairness, yet there was an undercurrent of empathy guiding her decisions. She listened intently, absorbing not just the facts but the human stories behind them. When Armin presented his case, his voice quivering yet resolute, Lena remembered the night he had helped her in the rain, the selflessness etched into every movement of his hands, the sincerity in his eyes. That memory became a lens through which she saw not just the case, but the man, the father, the human being striving against all odds. Hours passed like minutes. The courtroom was silent except for the occasional shuffle of papers or the muted whispers of observers. And then, finally, the moment arrived. Lena rose from her seat, her expression calm but commanding. She delivered her verdict not as a punishment, but as a testament to justice tempered with understanding. Armin felt a surge of relief, gratitude, and disbelief wash over him. The weight he had carried for so long lifted in a single moment, replaced by hope and the quiet assurance that kindness truly did not go unnoticed. As the courtroom emptied and Armin walked out into the fading light of day, he found Sarah waiting outside, her small hand clutching his. He lifted her into his arms, and for the first time in years, the world felt lighter, softer, and full of possibility. The rain had stopped, leaving behind a crisp, clean air that smelled of new beginnings. Armin knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, he and Sarah had survived, and they had been reminded that acts of compassion, no matter how small, could ripple far beyond their origin. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of the power of kindness and human connection, please engage with this video, like, comment, and share it with those who need a reminder that good deeds are never wasted. And before you go, leave a comment telling us about a time someone's kindness changed your life. Let's spread this wave of hope together. Armin's journey was a testament to resilience, courage, and the unexpected ways life rewards those who act from the heart. He had faced despair, uncertainty, and exhaustion, yet his simple act of helping a stranger had come back to him in the most profound and life-altering way. It was a quiet, powerful reminder that even in a world often clouded by hardship, humanity's light could shine through, touching lives in ways we could never predict.